yes, you will. You will be calling the guests Hattie Cook. And I think we're even streaming out now.
We're streaming live.
We are as of right now.
Hello, live listeners.
Hello, live listeners.
They can't see us, can they?
They can see us, sure.
Look at my old lady blanket.
Yeah, they can see it.
We'll tell you why that's happening.
This, and we got to fix that shot every time.
Every single time.
I wish Wirecast would just remember the settings so that I wouldn't have to go through this every time. But I leave this in. People seem to like the part of the show where things are broken. There we go. And that, and that.
They like it when things are broken?
Yeah, they like to see things that are broken.
Oh, that you have to fight with and struggle with?
When I have to fight things. Well, do you like my jacket? We'll talk about that on the show, too.
My blanket and your jacket.
You'll get nothing and like it.
That's over there. Is that okay?
I want that there. Okay, does it bother you the way I put that down?
That was
your, whoa! Remember we were talking about that before the acceleration of your voice?
I think because I was trying to talk over you.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because you just keep plowing through.
It is my show.
It is. And that's why I don't take over like on Grit. Yeah.
Like on the Grit show?
Like on Grit.
Uh-huh. All right. We'll talk about the jackets. And remember, it's a more mellow show.
I can fall asleep right now. That's how mellow I am.
Good. All right. So there's that. So it's basically 0, 1, and 4 I'm going to be at today. 5 for the computer. 6 for our friends in the chat room. They like my jacket. At least Joshua Tidbits does. He'll be on the show. He's trying to butter me up so I don't tear him apart. Because he's got a lot to explain after today. All right. Do we even talk about the dress?
I
think we have to. We couldn't get a guy on here.
We could say the word dress sometime during the show.
See, I'm not. Oh, I'll save it for the show.
Yeah.
All right. And we got these 3 spots right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was good enough. Good enough for me. All right. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 4:19.
Okay. It's all good. It works. He's actually working. Are you ready?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
I'm the one editing this thing. Markers are for me. I need another little keypad here for just and I asked people if there was a button that I could get, just one button, we'll save that for the show too. And we don't have anyone to edit the video but me, so I'll be doing that also. Okay. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. I feel like I'm working in a law firm, and it's like the one lawyer who does everything, and they have to look like a real law firm. Okay. And today, what's the date? Do we know the date? It's the 27th, of course, because House of Cards.
House of Cards.
All right, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I can't seem to get the chat room to work, but that's just my...
Why? What's wrong with it?
It's just blank. I've made sure that I have
joined
it. You're
in the wrong chat room.
I'm in DB Hour.
It's DBH now.
Oh, you've changed it.
Yes.
Oh, that's why I was
DBH was available,
what's in here?
So we took it.
Okay.
So you can go to DBH. You can also, if you didn't quit the app, this is the wonderful thing about the Textual app. If you didn't quit the app, then it does not reconnect you once you've been disconnected. So you would have to right click or command click.
I am in now.
Okay. Are there people in there?
There are, yes.
Okay, good. I guess I could retweet the tweet that you went out. Oh, good, because my iPad's at 10% now. Oh, that's wonderful stuff. This feels like the old days.
It does. Like the Tech Ranch time.
Yeah. Eric Hegwer just got accepted into iTunes, it says. So that's good. All right, I'm going to start. If I have to drop another marker for myself. Marker 2 is the actual start. Even see it. It's recording. Oh, I slowed it down. Everything's different here. I swear to God. All right. And wait, we said Friday. It's Friday already. Oh, my God. I haven't written that Keynote yet. Don't tell Sanjay that. This is the Dan Benjamin Hour for Friday, February 27th. I almost lost the month there, Hattie.
goes by fast.
Yeah, it goes by really fast. So if you're joining us today, this is our third episode. Where people have asked, is this going to be a daily show? And yes, it is. We're working on the daily part of that. We're doing a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this week and next week, and the following week will be daily. And the reason is next week I'm giving a keynote at Startup Riot, which is a very fun thing. I've done a lot of talks. I haven't done a lot of keynotes. So I'm really gearing up for this. I'm going to crush it.
Crush it. Murder
I'm going to dismantle Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And teach them a thing or two about starting a business. And so I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to go in and talk about, because it's mostly what I know about is doing things wrong and how to fix them. But he wants me to, what were the three things he said? Sanjay said?
It was like empower.
He said engage, empower, educate.
Empower.
Is that it?
The 3 E's.
And what I was saying is I think it should be more like just focus on your fear and just deal with your fear, because that's what anyway, we'll see what happens there. So if you're in Atlanta and you'd like to hang out, we could do.
We did that really great meetup.
That was a great meetup. We would have to do that on Wednesday evening this year. So if you're in Atlanta on Wednesday night and you want to come out, I don't think you can get in the Startup Riot anymore. I think it's sold out, but you can definitely come and hang out with us. We're going to determine our location. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Dan Benjamin on Twitter. Hattie will be there.
I will be there. Yep.
And if things go well, you can give the keynote in my stead. You're ready for that,
I'm
right?
supposed to have a backup keynote for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. You know what I'm excited about right now in a big
What?
way is House of Cards is back tonight.
I'm very,
And
very
for
excited.
some reason, Hattie, I thought that it was going to be. By the way, if you're watching this
Yeah,
live
my nice
in
blanket.
video, you can see Hattie's wearing a beautiful purple skirt.
It's a blanket.
It's actually just a blanket
We'll tell
because we'll tell them now. We'll get to House of Cards in a minute. I'm wearing my jacket, and the reason I'm wearing a jacket and that Hattie has a little house dress, purple house dress on.
I'm in a full wool sweater and a purple fleece blanket.
Yeah.
Because
the 4 days a year that we need heat here in Austin, Texas, the heater has been out. So the heater in the whole building has been out.
they keep saying it's gonna.
They keep saying it's being repaired. It's being repaired, and it's not being repaired.
It just feels like they're blowing the AC in this whole place.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing. It's like and the air that's coming out. That's what you're saying, Hattie, right? That the air that's coming out of the vents is cold.
Yeah, very cold.
My theory on that is that it's just simply not conditioned air. In other words, it is neither hot nor cold. It is just air blowing in from from somewhere.
From the outside.
From the
And
outside.
it's cold because it's very cold outside.
Yeah.
Cold to us is like, what is it right now?
It's in the
34?
30s. That's cold to me.
Yeah.
So you can see if you're watching. If you want to watch live, we'd love for you to be a part of the show. You can go to dbh.fm. Reworking that site so it'll be more than just the live stuff. But if you are watching live, you can see our little studio here. And it's a behind the scenes. I've gotten so much great feedback from people, but there's one thing I want to clear up. This is behind the scenes. We're not making a TV show.
Right.
You're just inside our secret studio here, and you can watch what we're doing. It's not, unfortunately, it's not the Tonight Show.
Right.
But it's a behind the scenes.
But we've made it pretty so that
We've
you
prettied
can...
it up. Hattie's responsible
all-
for making this place look so good.
Trying.
She spent all of her time over the last few months just gathering things, and then I would say no, that's horrible, and I'd throw it out.
Yep.
And make her redo it.
Or you'd
until
say
it was
that's
good.
great, and then the next day you'd come in and you'd say
Ponderous,
throw it all
man.
away.
Ponderous.
Okay. But I'm very cold. It's very cold in here, so we've got our jackets and stuff on, and people laugh at us because they say it's not very cold where we are. But this is cold for us. Now, this is not what people tune in for. They have tuned in today to talk about House of Cards because it premieres tonight. I'm very excited about this premiere. For some reason, I thought it was a Sunday, but it's not. It's all the episodes. This is a show, Hattie. I know that you like this show.
I love this show so much.
What is it that you like about the show so much? Why do you like it so much?
Well, first of all, everything about it. I love Kevin Spacey. He's awesome, especially as Frank. But I also really love Claire.
Claire
And her
is
wardrobe.
pretty much
She's awesome.
the best dressed woman on television, I think. That's safe to say.
Yep.
Okay. People said they liked some sound, so we'll do it without being obnoxious. And my mom just texted me, and she said Spock passed away. Nimoy.
Mhm.
That's her text. And I knew about this because you told me this a few hours ago, and that's really, it kind of bummed me out. I was really excited to do the show today. I was really excited to come in and do a great show.
And then
I found out about Leonard Nimoy, who's one of my lifelong favorite actors. I think was an amazing actor, an amazing talent. He was a writer. He did so many great things, and I never got to see him speak or anything in person.
your response when I said, "Oh, Leonard Nimoy has passed away," you said, "No."
Yeah, I was very sad. I was very sad about it. That made me very unhappy.
I know.
Because he's so great. And I mean, growing up, I was definitely, I grew up watching Star Trek, the original series, and loving it, and just loving it. For me, it was Spock. The show was Spock. The show was Spock. That's why Hattie just did the Live Long and Prosper, the Vulcan. There's a story to that, but I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
There's a video of, let me make a note to get that. There's a great video. He explains what he is. It's a Jewish thing. I don't want to ruin it,
Oh,
but it's a Jewish thing.
okay.
But so much great feedback. We had Griffin McElroy on the last episode of the show, and we've got a couple great guests coming up on today's show. Josh Centers, who writes over for Tidbits, the Apple site, is going to be talking about gold. Gold. And then we also have friend of the show, Philip Elmer-DeWitt, coming on to talk just about Apple in what they're doing, because I've come out and I've said this. It's not an anti-Apple sentiment, but I'm not excited about the watch.
No.
And I want Philip to get me excited about this watch. I feel like people spend too much time talking about Apple, too much time talking about what Apple's doing and not doing, and how they're, and I'm ready to talk about something else. So the pressure is on for Philip to get me back excited about this watch.
Or when I'm saying his name too quickly, Filmer.
Filmer, right? Hattie calls him Filmer. He'll be on the show too. We're running a little bit late, but not too bad. But there were a couple items that had come up in the news that I thought were kind of interesting. That were some things that I wanted to try and do. Oh, also we have an early potential guest next week. I don't want to give too much. Yes, I don't want to give too much away, but it is somebody at Pebble will be on the show. It may be their junior intern. I don't know, but somebody is coming in. But speaking of like cool things that are starting up, did you hear about this? We were just talking earlier in the week. We were talking with Griffin about his interest in VR stuff. And this is a guy he's got his finger on the pulse of the planet when it comes to gaming stuff. I mean, that's what he does. He lives in the game space.
And he seems very excited about virtual reality.
Very excited about it, almost in a creepy way.
VR.
Like it's all,
That's
VR.
what the cool kids call it.
That's what they call it. And PopCap Games founder has come out with this new startup called Pluto VR. And the head guy over there, I hope I'm saying his name right. I don't know if I'm saying it right. John Vecchi? Is that how you would say that, Hattie?
I think
Is that right?
so.
That's your name.
I don't know. Anyway, he's 37 years young, and he's out of Seattle. And he's got this brand. He's basically saying that virtual reality, he sees it as the future. He says this is the one area that nobody is really in yet. Nobody's really dominating yet. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in this space yet. It's fascinating. Because every single thing that we've seen in movies about the future have some kind of VR, but they don't have it right. They don't have it right at all. And this is something that, especially after talking to Griffin earlier in the week, I'm starting to get really interested in this. I'm less and less interested in where television is going, TV in the traditional sense of the word. TV to me is I feel like everybody now, while we're watching TV, we're tweeting, right? That's what people are doing. You're tweeting, you're chatting, you're talking about it with your friends.
That second screen.
The second screen. People, still have parties, like you were saying. You knew some people that had an Oscars party.
Yep.
Griffin had an Oscars party.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of people have parties around things like that. And there are people who have, Downton Abbey get-togethers. They all sit down and watch the episode together.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's
I mean,
kind of
anything
fun.
like, the Super Bowl or the Oscars, the first thing
Right.
I do when I sit down in front of the television, I turn it on, and then I immediately open my iPad or my computer or my phone, and I sit there, and, I'm reading tweets at the same time
Right.
and funny responses and favoriting them and
Yeah.
things like that.
It
So
becomes a community thing. Everybody's
it feels like-
involved in it.
it feels like
you're doing
everyone's in
something.
one big room
Right.
watching at the same time.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's fun. But I feel like VR, in a way, is, and the reason I bring that up in those parties is because VR seems like it's, in a way, does it kind of seem like it's a little bit isolating, in a way?
I guess
You know what
so.
I'm talking about? That
Right.
it almost maybe it's because I have an antiquated view of what VR is, but the VR to me is like you put some goggles on and you got headphones on maybe, and you're kind of moving stuff around and you're just like standing in the room by yourself. Someone walks in, they're gonna be like, oh, don't bother Hattie, she's on the VR right now.
In the VR closet.
Right. And Bailey this morning was telling us that they now have full body suits that deliver a full range of sensation across your whole body,
Mm-hmm.
and that you put this on your body like a wetsuit,
Uh-huh.
and then you can interact with other people, and they could
Like
they could
punch
do
you,
they could
or
sure, punching.
or like if you're walking in the snow, I'm sure it would make it feel very cold
be
and
cold.
things like that.
But I was thinking, there's a lot of applications for this in several industries that don't have to do with punching,
Exactly.
and that those industries would make use of this technology for various things. And I don't want to wear a wetsuit,
No.
and I don't want to wear goggles, but I think there's something to VR. That's all I'm trying to say.
I think so too.
And anyway, so these guys, I mean, that's at PopCap. They know what they're doing. They made a whole lot of games and were very successful. And I did reach out to them and ask to have their founder be on the show, and they did not reply to me. So I'm not surprised, but we do a thing called full disclosure here.
Yeah.
But I'm still sad about Leonard Nimoy. He was 83 years old, and for those who don't know about this, he did pass away today. He was living in Los Angeles, 83 years old, and they said his wife said that the cause was end-stage chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which had to do with many, many years of smoking, he says. So
Yep.
he had two autobiographies. The first one, published in 1977, I Am Not Spock. The second one, published in 1995, I Am Spock. And in the first, he wrote, in Spock, I finally found the best of both worlds, to be widely accepted in public approval and yet be able to continue to play the insulated alien through the Vulcan character.
His
And
last tweet was really good too.
What was the last tweet?
His last tweet was, "A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had but not preserved except in memory. LLAP."
Live long
And
and prosper. LLAP.
Yep.
It's sad. I mean, everybody eventually passes away, but it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of like bummed out about it.
I know you're
Like, I was
bummed
really
out.
excited
I
to do
know.
the show. Now I don't even want to do the show anymore. Speaking of porn and wetsuits,
Right.
PornHub, you found this one, Hattie. PornHub is pioneering an and this is a joke. This is a
You
joke.
think it's a joke?
Yes, it has to be a joke. This is ridiculous.
I mean,
PornHub, for people who don't know what PornHub is, it's essentially it's like a video. It's YouTube for porn, basically.
yeah.
I've never seen this site. This is what I'm told. As wearables gain popularity, it comes to no surprise that we're seeing them address more diverse problems and concerns. So, PornHub, it's a joke, but they say that they're going to be releasing something called the Wank Band, which is just silly. It's a wearable device that generates electricity from a certain kind of kinetic energy and motion. You can use your imagination. But what is it? But see, here's what tells me it's a ridiculous joke. There are people who think this is serious. But it's not serious. I'll tell you why it's not serious. Where does the energy going into? You know what I'm saying? You're not plugging this into your lamp and powering your
I
lamp.
think in
It's
that
a
article
joke.
it says you can like charge your phone off of it or
It's
something.
silly. I don't think
Yeah,
this
I
is real. They have. I'm not even going to show the video because it's a joke.
No.
It's ridiculous. Wearable. All wearables are ridiculous.
But a lot of wearables are coming out, and they're going to be doing a lot of different things with them, I feel like.
Well, before we get... Who are we getting first? You haven't even told me who we're getting first.
Who do you want to get first?
I feel like...
You talk about gold?
I want to talk about gold first, I think. But before we do that, let me tell you about Harry's. Harry's, these guys are so great. They make the best razors ever. And they don't charge too much for them. And that's what makes them different. They eliminate the middleman. Because overpaying for drugstore razor blades is crazy. It's like a bad habit you should leave behind. You know?
It is. I'm sad every time I have to do it.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to anymore.
These guys went and they worked with these amazing folks in Germany who wound up buying the entire factory. But they have these great German engineered blades crafted for sharpness and precision, and they're half the price of drugstore blades. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
And they came out with these really cool limited edition razors that the handles are these really, really cool colors. If you like colors, you can still get the classic traditional ones. You can get them engraved. And the blades are just so cheap, but they're great. They're way better than the blades you're going to get if you were to go to get these drugstore blades, and they're so much less. And they ship to your door, factory direct prices. I love these blades. And guys, you probably should get two because your wife or girlfriend...
She's going to steal it.
Right? You got your dad a set for, was it for Christmas?
Yes, it was for Christmas.
And right away you're like, I don't know if I want to get...
I know, I'm like, maybe I should just go ahead and order one.
I'm like, you got this engraved, so you have to give it to him. But women are going to love this stuff too. It's the starter kit's $15. That includes the razor, 3 blades, and either the shave cream, which I like, or the foaming gel, which Merlin Mann prefers. And if you use the code Dan Sent Me, you're going to get $5 off. So you get the whole starter kit, which is 3 blades, and I think that's a full month of shaving at least.
I think so.
For most people, it's Harrys.com, HARRYS.com is where you go. Code is Dan Sent Me. That will support this show, and it'll get you a really awesome starter kit for $10. So if you like the show and you need a razor, which is probably most humans, go there.
Everyone needs
and
a
check
razor.
it out. All right, why don't we get Josh?
Let's do it.
Talk about gold.
I like gold.
Josh Centers. Does that seem loud to you?
Just a little bit.
All right.
Josh.
Hey, Dan.
Wow. How are you, Josh?
Doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, back
having me
this
on.
volume down just a little
Just
bit.
a hair.
Yeah, we'll leave this
It's not
in.
even all the way up.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. I like that better.
Quite boisterous.
Yes. So you wrote this piece earlier in the week, Josh. Josh is a writer over at Tidbits. Tidbits is one of the oldest Mac and Apple-focused websites. 24 years. Is that true?
Almost 25.
25 years. And you've been writing there the whole 25 years.
Yeah, I started when I was 6.
Yep.
Yeah. So you wrote this great piece, and Josh also is the one of the people, if not the only person, who wrote and helped us out with the news, the Daily Tech News Show. You remember that, Hattie?
I do remember that show.
That we were supposed to keep doing, and we'll start up again. So Josh was the voice behind that, and here he wrote this great piece. It's called "How Much Gold Will the Apple Watch Edition Consume?" And I just, I like Apple. I like their equipment. I like this, I've got the 5S right here. We got Macs all over the place. I got an iPad here. I'm a fan of this. I don't feel like Apple is coming up with life-changing devices the way they came up with the iPhone. But you know what? I'm happy if they come up with a life-changing device I'll give them once every 10 years.
Yep.
Come up with an amazing
agree with
computer. That'll carry an extra 15. I wouldn't want to live without the iPhone. Admit that. So there's a lot of speculation, Josh, about these watches.
Mm-hmm.
And you started to really dive into this. Because
I got into the crazy zone.
There is an 18-karat gold smartwatch. And everybody's debating about what the price of this thing is going to be. And the reason that they're doing that is because, Apple has not announced or even hinted at pricing. And you talk about a gold watch, and these things cost 10 grand. And Apple can sell something that costs 10 grand. I mean, we've got a Mac Pro here that costs thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that we needed to make this show and our other video shows, so it's justifiable. But 18 karat gold. You start talking about troy. What is the troy ounce, Josh?
The easiest way to explain it, it's slightly heavier than a regular ounce.
Okay. So, and this is the way that they measure. This is the way that they measure gold, essentially, and other metals, right?
Right.
So if you're trying to figure out why, I mean, are there people out there who would pay? I know plenty of people who would pay $10,000 for a watch, but you have to assume that a watch like this is going to change because it's technology, right? It's a technological device. I can't take my iPhone, get the inside swapped out, but then there was that interesting picture that I'm sure you saw that almost showed like the inside of the watch as if it was a little piece that you could, remove. Right? I mean, would you pay 10 grand for a watch?
Me?
Yes.
No, I don't pay 10 grand for a car, Dan.
Right. So that's the thing. But I've also heard this argument that says, well, it's for people who don't care. It's for super rich people. It's for people who are, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a car. Well, for them, it's no big deal. They can go out and they can spend a couple grand, 10, 20 grand on a watch. It's not a free watch to them, but it's not expensive. It would be like if I went and bought a $200 watch, $300 watch that I plan to keep for many, many years. My grandfather, in his retirement, got some amazing watches, Cartier, that he was really a big fan of. And he was a scientist. And for him, getting something like that he knew would last him the rest of his life and that he could hand down, which he did, those are really good things to do because you feel like you're making an investment, right? But I don't know. Like, I the idea of someone spending this on something that's technology that's going to be obsoleted. I mean, people think about this even in terms of their car. They don't want to spend too much money on a car because they know the safety features will be dramatically different in the coming years, right? Like the car, Hattie drives a Volvo.
Yep.
And already the newer Volvos, you were researching this, are even safer than the old ones.
Yes, there's already been so much stuff has already been changed, and mine's a 2012 one.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, oh my gosh, it's probably completely different.
But if you think about this, if you think about how much gold is going to go into this edition, forget the cost of it, because we don't really know what the cost is going to be. Listen to these numbers, Josh, that you came up with. If Apple makes and they have announced that they're going to be ramping up production to over 1 million units per month in their second quarter of production.
Well,
Okay.
no, they haven't announced that. That's what the Wall Street Journal
That's
said.
the Wall Street Journal. Thank you. And these things could cost $10,000 a piece, fine. But you break this down, and here's what you say. Let's assume each Apple Watch contains 2 troy ounces of gold. 18 karat gold is only 75% pure. Pure gold is too soft. But you say 75% still uses 2 troy ounces. And you say even if they only use 1, listen to these numbers. If they make 1 million Apple Watch Edition units every month, that equals 24 million troy ounces of gold, or 746 metric tons. Okay, but they only mine 2,500 metric tons. That means Apple, as soon as they ramp up, would be using almost 30% of the world's gold.
That's insane.
From the get-go.
That's crazy. I
Josh,
can't even.
That's not possible. Who's out there buying 1 million $10,000 watches? Seriously?
Oh, now that's a good question. That's a good question. When I first read those Wall Street Journal numbers, that's what got me to write this piece because I was kind of looking at gold prices recently for another reason. I just started thinking that's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold.
That's Bond villain level of gold. That's like you're asking for a dragon raid with that much gold.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, and I just are there that many people who will spend that much money? That's why I think that I don't want to get in the whole price thing because I don't know, but it just strikes me as wrong. I'm not sure how much these things would cost, but if someone's going to spend that much money, you can say, it's disposable income for them. That's fine. They'll throw it out and get a new one, or they'll set it on the shelf. But you're talking about technology that could be completely obsoleted. But Josh, did you see the little thing? You know what I'm talking? Chat room, if you can find the link for that, I'll put it into the show notes at that picture.
Which is it?
There was a photograph that was out on Apple's page on Apple's press page showing that they have sort of this little sealed thing inside the watch that's sort of the brain of the watch. And maybe the implication is you could take it to an Apple store somewhere and they could pull out the innards of the watch. You wouldn't necessarily get all of the sensors if they come out with new kinds of sensors that don't exist.
Mm-hmm. I
had to get my car serviced, Josh, yesterday. I'd let it go almost 500 miles past where they tell you to get the oil change. I'm sorry, I've been busy.
Danger zone.
What am I supposed to do? The little wrench keeps coming. I'm like, fine, I see the wrench. I don't, leave me alone. But it wouldn't leave me alone, so I finally broke down and went in there. And the guy that was helping me out, what was his name? Darius?
Darius, yeah.
Darius? Darius is wearing the Samsung watch, and it's curved, and it's very sporty, and it had a very strange interface and display. Yes, Hattie, you have found it. What is it? Can you read that?
This is an entire computer architecture on a single chip. You want me to read the whole thing?
A little bit of it.
Okay. Massive constraints have a way of inspiring interesting creative solutions. A prime example is the custom-designed chip at the heart of Apple Watch. No traditional computer architecture could fit within such a confined space. So we found a way to integrate many subsystems into one remarkably compact module, which is then completely encapsulated in resin to protect the electronics from the elements, impact, and wear. Isn't that crazy?
Thank you for that, Hattie. I found an image of that. I'll put that in the show notes.
It's an industry first.
I mean, why would they go to the trouble of designing that into a compact module encapsulated in resin? They say it's to protect the electronics from the elements, impact, and wear, but wouldn't it be nice if you could just pull that out and put in the next version of that?
I think it's for simple water resistance, element resistance. I really can't see Apple offering a easily upgradable product. I mean, this is the same Apple that took the years-old Mac Mini and just glued everything down and then resold it for the same price. Well, slightly less. Yeah. That's not fair. So, but I just don't see them doing that. I made a crack on Twitter the other day about Apple's going to include a small pair of tweezers and a magnifying glass and a soldering iron with each watch. No, I mean, I could maybe see a program, and Patrick Rowan, if you're familiar with him, he had a really interesting idea in his blog where his idea was you spend $10,000 on the Apple Watch, and maybe you get lifetime upgrades. Like maybe you come in and they switch it out for you or something. I don't know. When it comes to the pricing and stuff, I'm totally out in the weeds. I have no idea. But I do think there are a significant number of people who would just blow $10,000 just to show off that they could blow $10,000 on a quasi-disposable watch.
Right.
I don't think there's a million of those a month. Now, I will never underestimate Apple's ability to sell really expensive stuff at mass volume. So I may be putting my foot in my mouth there, but just for a number of reasons, a million a month seems a touch high.
It does, and I'm just as if you had told somebody the kind of numbers that they'd be doing with the iPhone and the iPad, people would say, "Oh, you're nuts! They're never going to sell that many phones. There aren't that many people who want a smartphone. There aren't that many people who could afford a smartphone like that, right?" But yet, look at how many they sell every time they come out, and every month after month. I think that this is now. My son has started. He's 7. He started asking me. He's like, "Dad, I want you to get the Apple Watch." He wants me to get it, and I said, "What's wrong with the Pebble?" I'm back the Kickstarter for the new Pebble. I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh, that looks cool." So he's okay with as long as I get a new smart watch wearable of some kind, he's okay with it. But I looked at this Samsung, and I was pretty impressed with the curvature of it. I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't know, Josh.
Yes,
listen to these numbers. These numbers are just insane. When you think about 746 metric tons of gold.
Just so much.
And then you say you're talking about the There's a Manhattan vault. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York has 7,000 metric tons of gold in their vault.
Mm-hmm.
Governments and banks have gold because that's sort of what used to back the value of the dollar.
Right.
But you said, where would Apple store all this gold? It's $1,200 per ounce. Their annual gold needs would be worth $28.8 billion. And they wouldn't have it on hand at once, and you point that out. But imagine moving that gold. I love your line in here. Moving that much gold means a high risk of shrink, an industry term for vanishing product. I mean, that is a lot of gold to move around. And
Yeah,
how are they going to
that's
move
crazy.
that gold around?
That's insane.
Hattie will be
mean-
driving her car right alongside that train, trying to
Yeah,
get in there.
I want to know where that vault is.
Yeah. Bandits.
Maybe
Even
that's
if
what
it's
they're
only-
building the big campus for, just to the ring around.
They're just pouring it
the
in the
ring
middle.
around the gold.
It's like the Pentagon.
Yeah,
Glass Pentagon.
600,000 watches, and 4.7 billion of product every year for Rolex. I mean, that's a much smaller operation than Apple.
Why do you think they didn't do like a limited number or limited run per year or something like that?
Of the watch?
Of the watch, yeah.
Well, they are going to be limited on the edition.
I feel, $1 million a month in the gold.
That's a lot.
That's just, I don't know. It just seems like a lot.
I think somebody at the Journal
Yeah, I'm
just
with
heard
you.
something. I see them maybe starting out making 1 million watches total per month.
Right.
That makes more sense.
But I think they're off probably by a good order of magnitude. I would say at most they might make 100,000 of these a month, which is still a lot. That's still a ton of gold. Well, several tons of gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 million a month seems a bit high.
It seems crazy. Are you going to be? Are you getting one of these things?
I don't know. Well, definitely not the edition. I may buy the Sport if I need it, because I did write the Take Control of Apple TV. And so if I need it for an update to that, if I need it for some kind of testing purposes, I'll probably buy a Sport.
Yeah.
But if I don't need it for my job at Tidbits or Take Control, then I'll probably just wait for the second generation. Because the first generation Apple products always are missing something big, right?
Yeah.
So it's always good to wait for Gen 2.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. All right. Thanks, Josh, for being here. Josh, if people want to go and find you, they can go to tidbits.com and read your stuff up there.
Mm-hmm.
Where else can they go? You're on Twitter, Jay Centers.
Yeah, JCENTERS on Twitter. And I have a couple of books on TakeControlBooks.com, iOS 8 Crash Course, and Take Control of Apple TV.
Nice. Well, thanks for being here,
Dan.
Josh. We will we'll talk again soon. We'll get you back.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
You too.
Patty, I love having you do that.
It's nice, isn't it?
I can't wait till we did a couple interviews today for,
Yeah, we did.
For our video
I think
people.
they both actually went really well.
The two of the interviews, the second person, we had no idea that they were going to be here because they didn't,
Right.
they had never replied back to you.
No. It was, we would like for you to come into an interview, and then there was no response, so I was like, guess that's very typical of our search for people
intern
is
response. Yeah.
if we ask, please come in, that half of them just don't even show up for the interview. Very strange.
They
But-
say they'll come in, but then they don't.
Right.
This one never
Cool.
said he would come in, but did.
But did. I know.
So that's,
it's a good sign.
yeah, I'm not gonna say no to it. So we interviewed them, but we need some help with the video stuff that we want to do. There's a lot that we're working on, not just this show. There's a lot of other stuff that we're in a process of making, I guess you would say. That hopefully you guys will like.
We're
But
making it all for you.
we did the first interview. Both interviews were good.
Yeah.
I would hire either of them.
I think so too.
They're both qualified.
If they're listening.
Yeah, hopefully they're not listening because then they think, then they're going to find out.
Hopefully they are listening
Too
so that they
much.
know, what we do.
Well, yeah, because they're like, yeah, I'm like, do you know anything about it? So you do podcasts? You do something with podcasts? Is that a business?
I've
Can you
never-
make money on podcasts? I'm like, well, a little.
Enough.
Enough to kind of pay the rent. I don't understand. There was one. Can I tell this story about the one person who we wanted to interview? Have I told this story yet?
Which one? The one currently?
No, the one that was in New York.
Oh, I would love
This
for
is
you
more
to
of
tell
like
that
a grit.
story.
It's more of a grit topic.
Grit segue.
But so we had someone coming in, and I one of the many candidates that we've had and she was very well qualified for the job, and we thought, okay, we could bring, this is like a part-time video editor job. It's not like you're gonna make a career in the part-time job. I mean, it might lead to something, but it's not like let me put it this way: it's a part-time job for someone probably in college at this point.
Yes,
or with just spare time outside of their regular thing, or they do freelance. They want to, you get it. So we put the ad out in the thing, and she replies. She sends a resume. Resume is great, and I reply to her and I say, great. Can you come in on whatever it was, Monday or Tuesday? And she replies and says, I'm sorry, I'm in New York visiting family. That's her reply.
The whole reply.
That's the
reply. Total.
She doesn't say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in New York City visiting family, but I can do a phone call if you want to do a phone call.
Or maybe we can schedule a Skype interview.
Or we can schedule Skype.
Or I'll buy a plane ticket and come home right now.
I mean, that's an extreme, right? But she could have said something.
Yeah. It was just interesting.
And so I replied to her, and I said, is there another way we could talk? Perhaps a phone call? And she replied and said, I could talk on Monday. That's it. Again, second email.
Why would you only write like one sentence?
Like,
that makes no sense.
I don't feel like I can trust that person to do
elaborate,
difficult
please.
jobs. You know who I can trust, though?
Who can you trust?
I can trust Casper, because Casper makes some of the very best mattresses in the world. And I know this because we have one. They sent us one because they said they wanted us to be very familiar with their product before we started talking about it. And I said, great, but I don't know where I can put a mattress, so we just have it here in the middle of our in the middle of our office.
But every once in a while,
we'll bring it out and we'll take we'll take turns taking naps.
Yep. Drag it into one of the offices, take a nap.
Take a little nap, and
but we have time for naps.
These things are super comfortable. They're really, really great, and they send them to you in a box. And you cut the box open, and they give you a little tool that you cut the plastic that's around this thing, and it opens itself up.
It's so cool.
And it breathes the air in, and it's not like filled with air, but it sort of inflates and rises. And you lay on this thing, and it is incredibly comfortable. Hattie made the terrible mistake of buying a brand new mattress just a couple weeks before this for like twice the cost of these mattresses. Yep. And she says that this is the Casper mattress is even more comfortable than the one that she bought.
Much so.
These things are very affordable. $500 for a twin. $750 for a full, $850 for a queen, $950 for a king size mattress. And I don't know if you've ever priced mattresses, but these are crazy low prices. And the reason that they do that and can do that is they cut out the middleman. They don't have a showroom around the corner in your local strip mall. You order it from them. Well, what if you don't like the mattress, right? Like, that's a valid thing. You get the mattress, you don't like it. They will take it back. They send it back. They make all that easy. Free delivery and returns within a 100-day period. That's more than 3 months you can sleep on this mattress and decide if you still like it. Painless return. So go check this out. The URL to use is casper.com/Dan sent me. Just going there will support the show. But we want to support you in getting one of these awesome mattresses. So if you use the code Dan sent me, you'll get $50 toward any mattress purchase that you make on the show. Kind of hard to believe, but that's the deal. So go to casper.com. Fun site, great company, and 100-night trial. I'm serious. When it's time for you to get a new mattress, seriously, like, go here first and use that code Dan sent me.
Give it a try. 100 days.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You don't like it?
I know you'll
take it back.
it.
But the thing is, like, you'll like it. I wish I had one. It's the next one I'm going to be getting from there for sure. So thanks very much to Casper. Casper.com/Dan sent me is the URL to go to and save $50. Can't believe you bought another one of those mattresses right before we got them as a sponsor.
I know. I didn't know.
Merlin has one. He loves it. He loves it. So I don't know. I think it's a strange situation with this watch thing, and I'm still not convinced that I even want to get one of these. Philip Elmer-DeWitt is going to try. He's going to try and convince me.
Did you almost say Filmer?
Filmer, I did. You got me on that kick.
Sorry.
He does not like that, and I don't blame him. There was a little conspiracy thing that was happening about Google potentially banning adult content on Blogger.
I think I heard something about this.
Now, what I know that that Tumblr is mostly nakeds,
Yeah, it seems like that.
and every time you go to Tumblr, it's all people uploading naked pictures, and I think Blogger wants to be different. And of course, as you know, Google bought Blogger, and they said recently that they were going. They made a post, and in the post they said, "We are going to be cracking down on adult content. You will not be able to put any nakeds up. You won't be able to do anything like that. No nakeds.
No naked.
No nakeds.
None.
And then an about face. They got so much response from this. And it was because they were going to make the owners go and delete the existing content, or they could have their own pages shut down.
Made them do the work?
They were going to make them go back and
Oh my
delete it, or else it
gosh.
would get shut down. It's a retroactive change. So if you ever uploaded
That's
a naked,
crazy.
then you'd have to go and delete the naked. Okay.
You have to remember that it's up there.
Yeah.
Go and find it, delete it, make sure it's deleted.
Right. So then they came back and they said, you know what, we're not doing that. We've had a lot of feedback, and you know what? Some people, they've had accounts for more than 10 years on here. We're not going to make them go back retroactively and get rid of this. You know what? It's okay. Blog owners, you can do whatever you want. You have to mark it as adult, and then there'll be a warning that says it's an adult thing. There'll be a little warning thing that comes up. I think that's reasonable.
I think it is too.
They're going to try and crack down on commercial porn, which is like you're making money from the stuff that you're posting, I guess.
Oh.
They're going to try and crack down.
Do people use Blogger for that?
I don't.
It's very strange.
But, I think Google just got smart and realized that if they do this, every single person who wants to do anything with the nakeds is going to immediately go over to Tumblr.
Right, that
They're gonna
drives that
lose
traffic
everyone
that
to
way.
Tumblr.
And Tumblr doesn't care. They just
don't
want
care.
users.
That's
That's
right.
what I think.
No, you're 100% right. So now, as long as you have permission, as long as it's yours and you have permission, you can post your naked pictures still on Blogger. So I know that, Hattie, you'll be relieved to hear that.
Yeah.
Speaking of relief, you ever lost your car keys? Have you ever lost your car keys or house key or something like that?
I believe so, yes.
The other day you said you'd never lost a key.
Never?
That's what you told me.
I've never lost a house key.
I've lost a house key. It's stressful. I was
That
a
would
kid.
be
I was
scary.
7 years old. It was an apartment complex. I was freaked out.
That would scare me as a child, too.
Tim Cook was recently quoted as saying that that he wears the Apple Watch in the shower, so it's going to be waterproof. But he also says that it will replace your car keys. There is this big announcement that Apple is going to be having an event on March 9th, which is 2 weeks from now,
Okay.
in San Francisco. Obviously, it's an Apple Watch. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. It's probably an Apple Watch thing. But he says he can't. He stopped wearing a watch, and now says he couldn't live without it. Of course, he says that, but he says he couldn't contemplate living without it. He says I'm now so used to getting all my notifications and all my messages. It's so incredibly it's so incredible just to do this. And he says that all of these things, whether it's payments, unlocking doors, connectivity with everything, it's all going to be based around your watch. But keep in mind, this is something that only at best is going to have a day of battery life.
Right. We were talking with Griffin about that, I think,
Yeah.
in the last
It's
episode.
not enough. It's not enough. He was right about that.
I agree.
And I think it's you need a lot more battery than that before I'm going to consider doing it. But I don't know. I think I want Filmer to turn me around on this. And of course, I was at the beginning of the show, I was saying that tonight is, or today is House of Cards, and this is a problem because we wanted to start a new show where we're going to be we're going to be doing TV stuff. I tweeted about this a while ago, and I said
We did a poll, I believe.
a poll of the different shows, and House of Cards was like number one.
Of course.
It's such an amazing show. But we weren't, we've got to, the problem is I'm going to want to watch one of these every night until the season's
Starting
done.
about right this moment.
Yeah. Like it's been a struggle all day to not try and watch these things. I love that show. It's a great show. And if you haven't seen it, you should start from the beginning and
Definitely.
start watching it. But I feel like, I I don't know. I'm on the fence about how I'm supposed to watch this.
You mean
do you
don't
binge
want to
it?
binge?
Do you binge it? Do you watch 3 episodes a night for 3 nights and you're done with
it's so
How many
difficult
episodes
not
are there?
to do that? How many were in the last one? Wasn't it 17? There were a lot.
Was there that many?
Or am I thinking of Homeland?
There were a lot of Homeland episodes.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I think it's House of Cards season 3. Tell us how many. Tell us how many episodes. See, I got a picture of Leonard Nimoy up there. Every time I see it, I feel sad about it.
I'm sad too.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm wondering how this whole season is going to play out, and do you stretch it out?
I would.
Is that what you're going to do? When
yes.
you watch it?
I think maybe like during the week, one episode. And
During only one episode per.
No, one episode like during the weekdays, one episode per weekday.
Oh, per weekday.
And then
okay.
I would probably skip on like the Downton Abbey next week day, the finale, and then maybe
13 episodes.
The Bachelor, probably skip that day too. So I think, and then on the weekend, maybe 2 episodes because you stay up a little bit later on the weekend.
So you've got 13,
that's what I'm
13 episodes to do. So that's like 2 weeks if you're doing it that way. But if it would be less than a full 2 weeks if you are watching multiple episodes a night.
Right.
Do you regret that? Would you regret doing that? That's my problem. Is if I sit down and I watch all these at one time, I'm going to regret it. I'll be like, man, I should have stretched it out. Because that's what you and I did that with Breaking Bad.
Oh my gosh.
When I was getting caught up on that series, I had 2 or 3 other people that, and you were one of them, that I would watch these episodes with, and it'd be like, oh, let's just, you know what, guys, and I text them, let's just watch one more. It's only 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
I don't have to be up till 6.
Right.
We're going to do 2 more episodes. Easy.
Mm-hmm. And we kept saying like, this is for the show. This is
right. It's for the show. So I would text them, we're doing one more. We're doing one more. And they would, okay, fine. And my wife would finally say, I can't watch another one.
Right. You kind of burn out. No, you don't burn out, but just.
But then, see, once I was done doing that, Hattie, once I was done doing it.
Mm-hmm. You felt guilty.
Then I'm like, this was such an amazing experience. I should have watched them one a week.
Yep.
Because then I could have stretched this out to months and months and months.
Made it last a little bit longer.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, you want to enjoy the whole thing. So that's how I'm feeling. Like if I watch one of these a night, in 2 weeks it's done.
Yeah,
it's done. You never have that back. But then I'm worried if someone's going to spoil it for me. I feel like I got to watch all 13 episodes over the weekend. That's why they released it on a Friday.
Well, yeah, that's
so that you can watch it the whole weekend.
Everyone will be in their homes. Also,
starting
it's cold
tonight,
outside.
It's freezing. It's unbearable.
Literally, it's freezing.
I'm terrified about going to Atlanta. That's East Coast cold. I don't like East Coast cold
goes
anymore.
Into your bones.
Grew up in Philadelphia, and now I'm too spoiled living here. All right, let's get Philip Elmer-DeWitt, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
He had a neat article about the 12 pages that Apple got in Vogue. Did you call him?
You want me to call him right now?
Yeah, call him.
Great.
It's a 12-page spread. Don't you love Skype? The little reverb
My heart
on the...
kind of...
Hello.
Hello, sir. Welcome to the show. Philip Elmer-DeWitt.
I'm here.
Of Fortune magazine. Can we say that?
Can you hear us?
Oh, he may be hearing. He may be listening to the... You have us on a lag, a little bit of a lag there.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. So should I be shutting... I'm so confused now. Should I be shutting off the web page?
Yeah, I would turn that one off.
All right.
While you're here.
Okay.
All right. Good?
All right. Yep.
A little less distracting.
Yeah, and the lag is
lag
gone
is
too.
better.
Yay.
Phew.
Yeah.
So, Filmer, I'm changing
Filmer.
my name.
Hattie came up with that.
I was
She means it in a nice way.
talking too fast and just Filmer. That's what happened.
I like it. You think I could change my byline?
Yeah.
I like
the brand?
Yeah. There's something it's almost sort of like country about it. Like it's a farming
Filmer.
name. Filmer. Like it's something I think I'm thinking it makes me think of Wilbur from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, well, I'm starting with, a cow.
That's what it is.
And glue. the Elmer stuff, really, it's got a lot of farm going for it.
Yeah, yeah. So up in your analyst tower, you look down and you gaze down upon the tech industry as a whole, and especially with the laser focus when you need it on Apple.
Oh, that's all I do. It's all Apple all the time.
And as all Apple all the time, you're very concerned with things like this watch. And you were the first person to point out and to notice and to see that Apple bought 12 pages in Vogue magazine to promote this watch. 12. And to give people an idea about that, you did some research and you said, according to the magazine's rate card, a single page ad, one page, can get up to about $189,888. And of course, that could be discounted for something important or for a large purchase, like 12 pages. But it's not like they're getting it for 10 grand or something.
Well, I've worked in magazines long enough.
Yeah.
That you never pay the rate card. It's always discounted.
But how much? Even so, how much of a discount would they get off 190?
50%, probably. I don't know. This insert was cooked a long time ago. Anna Wintour was at the exclusive Johnny Ive breakfast when they showed this watch in Paris back in September. This is they've been very careful to plug themselves right in the red hot center of the fashion industry. They've hired out of the fashion industry. They've got the Burberry woman doing their marketing. They're being very smart about how they sell this to the high end, and they're going to sell. But I listened to your gold segment. They're probably going to sell 1 million watches a month.
Yeah.
I did
Do you think they're going to sell 1 million, but you're not talking about 1 million edition watches. You're talking about 1 million across the board.
And most of them are going to be the cheapest one. That's going to be the bulk of it.
So when they talk about ramping up to 1 million, it's not ramping up to 1 million edition watches. Right. It's just we as a company think we're going to sell 1 million a month, and some of them will be the edition.
Yeah, I did a survey of analysts, back in September, and got them to estimate how many watches they thought Apple was going to sell in the first year, and basically it was between 10 million and 30 million.
Still a lot.
And the median was something around 22 million, which would be almost 2 million a month.
Right.
So, but you got to think of it as a $349 watch, and then a few Chinese billionaires who actually, it's not a matter of not caring if they spend the money. They want to show off.
Right. They're looking for a new kind of bling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, and they'll sell a few of those. And then, of course, Johnny Ive will have one.
Yeah, he'll have at least one.
Right.
They'll let him have one.
I heard you earlier saying that you had heard that there's too much talk about Apple, and I couldn't agree more.
I'm doing it. I'm perpetuating it because I'm talking about it. This is the first time we've really talked about it. But I mean, but you're the guy with talking about Apple all the time. So how can you say that?
Well, because my theory about writing about Apple is, for me, is that if I can't add some value to the story, I'm not going to say anything at all.
Right.
And most of what you see written about Apple is people following basically 9 to 5 Mac. Mark Gurman there just turns out 3 or 4 scoops a week, and if you're trying to drive up page counts, page views, which is what most of the people in this business are doing, and Apple is the hottest topic for page views, and it's not a dumb thing to do. You just see what Mark Gurman's writing about, or whatever is the top of Tech Meme that day, and get one of your junior writers to do it in 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
So
then you've covered it too, and all you did was sort of rewrite the thing that Mark wrote over on his site and link to it so that you don't get in trouble. and vilified by the Twitter, and you're in good shape, right? I mean, then that's basically you. So you've covered it. Your site's covered it too. But that's not. They're not adding anything.
Good for 10,000 hits, and there you go.
Right.
So anyway, I feel like I'm in a different business, and I try not to do that. But it really is. It's if what you have to do day in and day out is make sure you know what everybody said about Apple.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a pain to slog through all that stuff. And one of my tricks now is I don't read the stories; I read the bylines. I will read what John Gruber says about a topic because he's gonna do something smart. And there's a few publications that I want to make sure I see what they say, but most of it you can just ignore it. Just put a big red pencil through it.
Yeah, and I think for you though that has to be kind of a challenge because it's it's like you were saying at your job over at Fortune. You've got to find that way or that path to add something that's interesting. You had a neat article earlier today. Should Tim Cook be telling people what Apple Watch can do and can't do?
Yeah. Now this here's where I'm going to answer your question. You wanted me to sell you on the Apple Watch.
Get me interested in this thing again because
right.
right now I'm lukewarm. My kid wants me to get it, and that's not necessarily enough of a reason anymore. It used to be like to get the Lego sets that I wanted all my whole life. If he said, "Oh, I want the Imperial Walker," oh, for you, I'll get it. And now it's here at my office, and I'm building it here by myself. So like get me interested in this. Why do I want this instead of the new Pebble Time, or do I want both? What about the barely 1 day of battery? Come on.
Well, here's what you don't do. You don't do what Tim Cook said.
Okay.
You don't start. First of all, the picture of Tim Cook naked in the shower with on Tumblr with his watch.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed that.
No. Excessive is the word you're looking for.
So he started talking about all the ways he uses it. He uses it to monitor his heart rate, and he says you're going to be able to open your car doors and all that kind of stuff. If you start talking to people that way about this device, they're going to say, I don't need to monitor my heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay opening my door with a key. They're going to come up with a reason not to get the watch if what you give them are use cases that don't apply to them. So it's just the wrong way to sell this watch. So what I did in this little piece you mentioned was I dug out of my memory this thing that what's his name? Seibart. Neil Seibart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So he writes this thing called Above Avalon. It's usually about stocks. But he said, here's how you sell the watch. You say it's cool. Apple Watch, it's got a customizable digital face, and you can choose different bands, period. And you might say, oh, it's made by Apple. They're the guys who make the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. And you stop there. And then what do you say? Are you interested in that? A watch that has a customizable digital face?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's kind of neat. I would like a watch that you could do that with, sure. I mean, and that's so I get what you're saying, or I get what he's saying. And that is, here is a watch from a company that makes this other cool thing that's in my pocket and this other cool thing that's on my desk. But couldn't you say the same thing for a car? And I've said this before. I'm much more interested in a car made by Apple than I am in a watch made by Apple.
Don't hold your breath. I mean, that's gonna if they are gonna make a car, that's a different topic. We'll get to that if you want to.
Sure.
But let's. The point he's making is, if you just present this idea that you could, you can change the face the way you want to, and you can choose whichever band you want, and it looks cool. They're going to say, well, wait a minute, does it connect to my phone? And you say, well, yeah. You can, the messages that are on your phone, you can get on your watch if you want, or you don't. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And that might open a dialogue where people come up with a reason to have the watch that actually applies to them, rather than Tim Cook's heart rate, which I don't really care about.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think that makes sense. But I think for people who are spending, who are considering spending a lot of this, and then the other day, I think we were talking about it earlier, is that this guy at the car dealership. I don't know what you make, as a guy who's like running the service counter or one of the guys at the
Right.
service counter, it's probably not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. If I had
No.
to guess, here in Austin, you're probably not making hundreds of thousands. But he was making enough that he felt that he could go and buy this Samsung watch for himself. Maybe he, I don't know what he does. I don't know his life. Okay, but he's.
don't know him?
I don't know him. But he could be spending 100% of what he earns every month. At the end of the month, he's, literally pennies away from running out of money. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm saying that he's out there as a consumer buying an electronic device that clearly he does not need. And the reason he said he didn't need is like, I don't really need it. He said that. He's like, I just kind of like it. It has its own phone number, this watch that he has.
Yeah. Oh, he bought the watch.
He bought he bought the Samsung
I
watch.
thought you were going to say he bought a phone. The thing about the phone and the watch is you can sort of imagine that eventually everybody in the world will want to have a portable computer that they can put in their pocket
Mm-hmm.
and make phone calls with. That's a really useful thing. And even for people in India who don't make very much money at all,
Right.
that that's got a lot of utility. Suddenly the entire world collection of world knowledge is available at their fingertips in their pocket. That's worth a lot of money. And you can see that everybody in the world, probably most people in the world after above a certain age, will probably carry some kind of smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true of the watch.
Right.
This
And
is
Apple's
clearly,
okay with that, but they're not calling it a hobby the way that they're calling the Apple TV
Right.
a hobby. Do you think that they'll sell more watches than they have sold Apple TVs?
Yes.
By many factors, I would think you'd say.
Oh, I don't remember the numbers. They've said how many Apple TVs they've sold.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, they stopped calling it a hobby because they'd sold enough that it seemed like
Right. But they were protected
tens
by
or
calling it
hundreds
a
of
hobby.
millions.
They were protecting themselves by calling it a hobby.
Well, and they wanted to,
That way, if it doesn't pan out, they're like, well, it's just a
Yeah, it's
hobby.
just a hobby.
We didn't care about it.
right. And they needed to disabuse Gene Munster, who gave everybody the impression that they were going to actually make a TV set.
Right.
And that's not what they were doing. They were sort of exploring this market. And we all know the story about Apple TV. It's so hard to get the people who make the content to give up control of it, that it's all where Apple got stuck in television was trying to negotiate contracts with Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And that, that
And they'll never
seems
make that
like
work because Hollywood is the worst. Hollywood is the most antiquated. TV, Hollywood, all that is so antiquated. They don't want to let go of the what they perceive as their kind of control over everything. They're locked in. The latest numbers that I have, Philip, is back from about a year ago, and I'm sure there's some new numbers. But even if we just look at these, Apple sold 20 million units of the Apple TV. That's not the interesting part. They generated over $1 billion in sales off media content ordered through the Apple TV. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's how a lot of people are buying it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it as simply being, this is a vehicle, this is the way that Apple can sell their media or the media that they deliver to us. That's what this is, in the same way that the phone is a way for them to sell apps to us and music to us and other content to us.
Yeah, I look at it slightly
Does the watch
differently.
going to have that kind of revenue?
I don't think they actually care that much about the revenue that the television produces.
Really?
I think all these things are the metaphor people use is building a moat around their operating system.
Mm-hmm.
You get people around their ecosystem. You get people to buy one product, that makes it easier for them to buy the second product. And then to the extent to which they've loaded all their music on it, or the extent to which they have all their contacts on it, or they're using it for their calendar, all the stuff that sort of makes a product sticky and makes an ecosystem sticky. That's what Apple needs, because they need you to, once you buy the phone, and the phone is where they're making their money, once you buy the phone, they want you to come back and buy that phone again. Right. And everything that they do makes it more likely that you will keep coming back to Apple.
Right.
And it's working. And it's doing all the things that they want it to do, is helping them get the highest margin market. The people who are willing to spend the most money, the most profitable section, all that stuff.
Yeah, but I just, if you went and told my younger man self that I was going to be, and I've stopped this habit, But if you told my younger man self that I was going to be buying a new phone every year, and that phone was going to cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and that I was going to be spending hundreds of dollars per month to use that phone just for the privilege of using that as I, walk around town, I would have said, man, I must be a billionaire or something walking around with that kind of money to spend on it. Because back then I remember, I wouldn't pay to get the mulch delivered to my house. I would have to make 3 trips to Home Depot to do it, to save the $30 delivery charge, but now, like, that's not weird. And people look at my iPhone 5S and they're like, why don't you have the new one? What's wrong with you? I like that phone, but I think even if it's an every 2-year kind of a thing, I just think it's a tougher sell to get a new watch than it is to get a new phone or even Apple TV at $99.
Or an iPad, which is the other thing. The big news about the iPad is that you don't buy one every year, or every 2 years, or every 3 years, or every 4 years. That's why, so the sales have been going down year over year.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think there were just a whole lot of people that didn't have iPads that wanted to go and get them. And I have, my iPad here, which I love. It's an iPad, and it's the iPad Air, but it's not the newest Air, and I don't really have any plans to get. Yeah, I wish I could unlock it with my fingerprint the way I can with my phone, but that's not enough for me to upgrade. And yeah, it's lighter, but it's not like it's completely lighter, and there's a whole different thing. It's a nice update to it, and
what you've got is good enough. Now, the watch. We agree that it's a smaller market than the phone. The other thing about the watch is that it's sort of crippled the way it's coming out, because what you want with a watch is a watch that can also make phone calls.
Right.
And that they don't have you're already complaining about the battery power.
Right. I don't even
have to recharge it every day. Well, you recharge your phone every day.
And I hate it, but I hate it. And that's the thing is like, for me, I would rather have, and I've seen a few articles about this as well, I would rather have a phone that was a little heavier and thicker and lasted for 2 days than a phone that's thinner and lighter and just lasts for 1. And I charge this thing throughout the day. I mentioned this in the past. If we go out to lunch somewhere and we drive somewhere, I'm going to plug it in while I'm driving on the way there. I'm going to unplug, or a meeting or something like that. If I'm in the car, it's plugged in. And that's how I make it through the day. It's terrible.
But they've already trained you, Dan.
I know I am trained, but I don't like that. And certainly if it's on my wrist, I don't want to take this thing off my wrist.
Right.
And plug it into the wall. And if I'm traveling, I don't want my watch. If I'm wearing a watch, that says this is important enough for me to attach it to my body, and I just expect it to work. Because I remember the first watch that I got as a little kid. I remember the first LCD, LED, watch that I got. I remember all of these different watches that I've got. And the one thing that every single watch that I've ever owned has done is lasted a long, long, long time. I remember, and I still feel this, when I have a watch that stops working because the battery died, there's something that says that, wow, this watch sucks. Even if it's a great watch, I'm like, wow, that battery didn't last as long as I thought. It only lasted 3 years, only lasted 5 years, That's why there are these great watches that have like kinetic motion, that as you're moving your wrist or just moving your body throughout the day, it's charging the battery up. My granddad had one of those, 25 years ago. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was the best thing ever. And the idea that you've got to take this to like a jeweler who has to open it and put a new battery in it every few years, that's what we've come to expect from our watches. And to now come back and tell me that this thing might last a day, that it's
might.
Because to me, like, the idea of a phone in my pocket is still, even though we've had these, Philip, we've had these for a long time. We've had, cell phones a long time, but it's still a little bit of a novelty to me. It's still a novelty that I have a phone in my pocket.
That this isn't a phone. It sucks as a phone.
It does suck as a phone. It does, but I still use it. I use mine as a phone.
I use it as little as possible. It's really to have the internet in your pocket.
It is. It is, but it does that, and it also lets you make the calls. I'm saying that I'm going to expect watch performance out of the Apple Watch, and that I will always want it to be showing the screen. I will always want it to be on. That's one of the things that I don't like as much about the Pebble is the screen. How do you seen this? The screen sort of wakes up when you move it, and I just want it always to be showing the watch face. I want it always to be on. I'm an edge case, I guess, right?
How often do you look?
I don't think you are. I think you are absolutely middle of the market here.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't have to think that far back to remember when the middle of the market bought these Nokia phones.
Yes.
What we now call dumb phones, which had great battery life. They were pretty good phones. You could get to the internet, but that wasn't what you got them for. And we were really happy with them for a long time. And then, you know, it turned out that when you saw what an iPhone could do, and later what an Android could do, that was a pretty compelling purchase.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It turned you around. I don't know whether you're ever going to want a watch. I'm going to have to, or whatever it is, the Apple Watch.
Yeah. You want one.
I have to buy one. I have to eat the dog food. But you're probably going to check it out. You know, when you see someone wearing one,
look at them.
You're going to look at it.
Yeah, I want to try one.
You might. I think maybe the first version might. Remember when the first iPhone came out and it didn't even do 3G?
We didn't care.
No,
I was
terrible.
in line for it. I didn't care.
Right. I actually waited for the second generation because I knew that you know that the bandwidth wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And it was just going to make me crazy. And I was glad I waited. Although I did borrow someone's for a while just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
And then every year I bought the new one every time it came out. I think you may I think the middle part of this market, however big the market is, and we already agree it's smaller than the iPhone market.
Yeah.
The middle of it may not get interested until they've got enough connectivity and battery life that you can somehow make a phone call from it.
Right.
And then you know, then we're in Dick Tracy territory. That's a pretty cool product.
Yeah.
You might even have to buy one. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, listen, Philip Elmer-DeWitt, where can people go to find out more about you? Obviously, Fortune.com is a great place to go. You are
the way to get me directly is fortune.com/PED.
PED.
PD?
And then you just get my stuff, and you don't have to deal with
all that crap out there. And and what about on Twitter? You're out there too.
Twitter, I'm Philip at Philip ED.
Thank you very much for being here today. Go check out Philip's stuff. Friend of the show, friend of all the shows. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Dan. Good luck with your show.
Thank you. I love not having to run the Skype, Patty.
It's lovely. I know.
And you're getting better.
I'm a producer /
Skype phone operator. Are you going to get one of these watches?
You know, it's not high
Yes,
on my
that's
list.
a yes.
No, because I would rather get that Ringly. Have you heard of that?
Oh, that's a little like Bluetooth ring that you
has
wear.
the little vibrations. I guess like haptic feedback. I guess.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to have. You don't have to charge it, so I like that.
That's like your main requirement.
Well, you don't have to charge it, and it comes in lots of different colors and things like that. But that's also expensive if you compare that to the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different editions, and of course the limited editions are always more. But I don't know. It seems
what
less
about
of
a Pebble Watch? Or is that something that's interesting?
Pebble seems more something that I would get over the Apple Watch.
I don't think the style of the Pebble goes with your style.
Well, also, I have a very nice watch, and I would rather wear that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to keep my phone and my, I guess, watch separated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it would be nice to be able to know.
You want to commingle that way.
Yeah. I don't need a device. I mean, I don't want the future to be where, you know, I've got my phone in my hand, my phone basically on my wrist, and then I'm going to have, you know, my phone on my glasses, and then my phone on my ring, and a bracelet, and then a shirt. And, you know, like, where does it end?
Yeah.
That's weird to me, but we'll see.
So no vision and memory enhancing implants for you anytime soon? Or would you do that like we saw in that Black Mirror?
Oh, that was a really good one.
Yeah. Would you get that thing?
Like that
What did they
requires
call that?
surgery?
Was it a bean or something? What did they call those things? Is that what they called it?
I
The
don't
thing that
think
went
so.
behind the ear?
I don't remember what they called that, but it was weird.
If you haven't seen this episode of Black Mirror, we're not ruining anything
Right.
for you because you
It's
find out in the first 10 seconds of
5
it.
seconds,
Yeah.
right?
Basically, it's in the future, some point in time in the future, and people are getting these little implants put in back
Back
behind
their ear, yeah.
their ear that somehow connects to their optic and hearing nerves and their whole everything.
Memory.
And it basically allows them to replay back anything that they see or hear or do as a memory. And would you get that? Would you get that thing implanted? So if you wanted to like relive that trip that you had
Look,
to
buying a
Italy
watch-
5 years ago, you
right.
could replay that whole trip to Italy and sit there and watch it.
I mean,
and
that would be fun, but
re-experience it.
that's what you have cameras for. Yeah, it's what you have video cameras and.
But this is a video
everything
camera that's always running. Okay, it's always running.
else.
It's recording anything. You can get rid. You can keep the
I don't
memories that
wanna
you want
get
to keep.
Surgery in order to get something really.
It's a
cool
minor
that I could-
outpatient
I don't-
surgery. You're in and out in a day.
I don't like surgeries.
You're in and out in a day.
I don't like surgeries.
Oh, do you hear the?
See, that's
Is it
someone.
rain?
that
Look
got
at this weather
It's
out there.
raining?
It's terrible.
Is it sleeting? Is it snowing? Is it raining? I don't know. It's
If
just
only
gross.
I had the right kind of clothes for this weather, and you know who could deliver these to me? I'll tell you. It's 5-4 Club. That's who.
You don't even have to go outside for
You
this.
don't know. You don't. Because most men, women, I think like shopping more than men. Most men, I think it's safe to say, don't like the shopping times.
I agree. I would agree with that.
And that's okay because that's what these guys, the 5-4 Club, are here for. They alleviate the stress of shopping. And they do that by sending you this great box of clothing every month. $60. That's how much it costs. But you're going to get $120 worth of clothes. How do they figure that out? Because these clothes, these are like what you're going to go if you were to go to a fashionable store.
Yep.
And buy high quality clothing, but these things are not available in a store. You can't get them from a store.
Nope.
You can only get them here. And again, we've got a theme here. It's all about eliminating the middleman, right?
Mhm.
You don't have to have a storefront. You don't have to pay people to run the storefront. You don't have to worry about all of that. So they can cut the price in half. And the clothes that they send you are really great. You go to the site and you tell them what your sort of profile is. Your profession. Are you a professional person? With a business casual, you're dressing to impress, you're a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. That's all right. That's okay. They got the clothes for you.
Yep.
It's perfectly all right. You select your preferences, you put it in. It takes about a minute to fill this thing out. And you will start to receive these amazing garments.
You got some garments.
I got some garments, and
They
they're
sent you
great.
the garments.
They're really great. My mom actually stole
What
a
did
pair
you
of these. They were like, I don't, what'd you call them? Did you see them? They were
I
like
did see them,
because we had
yes.
them delivered here.
Yep.
We're like almost like a sweatpants, like a.
They're like a sweat pant, jogging pant.
She saw them. She's like, I really like those. I'm like, oh yeah. And the next thing I know, she says, I'm going to keep these. So she has them. But I've been talking about this bomber jacket. There's a really nice shirt that I got. I'll be taking on the trip with me. For $60 a month, you get $120 worth of clothes. And these are great. So they have a special URL. Get 54 spelled out. Get FIVEFOUR. Get54.com. And you're going to get $20 off your first box if you use the code Dan20 off. And if you know what, you get the wrong size. Like this is the wrong. This doesn't fit me.
Right. Maybe like in that particular thing, you're
Those
not...
those pants didn't fit or something.
Right.
Or the jacket is a little too loose. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them, they swap it out for the right size. It's amazing
It's
stuff.
easy.
So again, the URL to go to is get54.com, and the code is Dan20 off. Why didn't we get Dan sent me for that code? Dan20 off is different. Why didn't we get Dan sent me?
I don't know.
Can you
I'll
make
get
a
Bailey
call
on
or
it.
whatever?
Yeah. Of course.
I like to be consistent.
I know.
With
We
the
need it
codes.
to all be... It would be Dan sent me 20 off. Because
Cold.
that's how
It's
they do
still
it.
cold in here. I was
I'm
thinking I'd be able
freezing.
to
My
take
hands-
off my jacket
My
halfway
hands
through.
are gray right now.
But that's because you're one of the aliens
That's very true.
and have no soul
That's
and
very true.
no heart. So I think that's pretty much about it. Was there anything else? I mean, going into this weekend, I want to start watching. I suggest We're doing so much next week. I literally feel a heart palpitation every time I think about what I need to get done for next week with the trip
I
and
know.
the keynote and everything. I don't know
At
why I
least we
say
have
yes
Monday.
to this stuff.
You say yes to
I don't know
many,
why
many
I
things
say
like
yes to this stuff. First of all, I know why I said yes to this because it's a
It's
great
awesome.
it's a great conference. I love speaking, obviously.
Yeah.
Surprise. I like talking. But I love speaking at these particular kind of things because I'm so interested in business and startups, and this is a great place to go and really scare people and give them a rude awakening as
Yep.
far as the fact that their business
You're
probably
going in
will fail.
with a fear tactic.
I want to go in there. I want these people to be terrified. I want to inspire them to succeed because if they don't, they'll I want them to be afraid. That's what it comes down to. I think they should be very afraid. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yep.
But I want to inspire them to go and create something awesome. So that's why I said yes to this. But now I'm starting to I have a couple talks that I give, if that makes sense.
Right,
They're
like your-
things I've done and worked on
Uh-huh.
that I update, and then I can go and drop these things, like a bomb. You know what I mean? But not a bomb like a bad way, but like a good kind of a
those
bomb,
are
like a
your-
neutron.
You
bomb,
know about
where
these.
it doesn't destroy the buildings; it just kills the wildlife or
Oh.
whatever, the humans. And so,
like
I'm
in
ready.
the Fern Gully.
Sure, I'm ready to do this thing. I'm ready to do this.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited to do this. I'm ready to go and build critical mass, and hit the tipping point.
You told me you're going to crush it.
I'm going to crush it. I'm going to dismantle Atlanta. That's what I'm going to do. This is called the 2015 Dismantle Tour.
Dismantlanta.
Do you say Anna? He said Anna Wintour,
I know.
and you're saying Tower.
I
I'm
know
saying-
that I'm probably wrong.
I said Anna Wintour, and you're like, it's Tower.
Well, no, I was like, I think it's...
You're like, it's Tower, Dan.
No. I didn't correct you like that.
I've invited Brian Brushwood to be here on Monday. Also, I don't know if he can make it because
Fun.
he lives way down south. So I don't know if
We
he
need
can.
to taunt him with
So if
some
you want to hear,
barbecue
if
or
you want to hear
something.
Brian Brushwood on the show, his Twitter
Tweet
handle
him.
is Schwood, SHWOOD. Just shout out and say you gotta be on the Benjamin Hour. You gotta be.
Got to do it.
So that's all we got for this week. It's going to be a big week. We're still doing 3 shows next week, though. We're going to pre-record or early record one of them. I'm
Probably-
recording with Merlin on Monday instead of Tuesday.
Okay.
So Back to Work will be on Monday. And we get just a crazy week. But we'll be back on Thursday, so we'll be doing a show. Maybe we'll do
We'll
it
be
Thursday.
back in the office on Thursday
Yeah.
or back traveling?
Back to the
Both.
office, probably.
Both things.
So maybe we do Thursday, and then back regular Friday, and then the following week, it's a 5-day week thing. You
Regular-
ready for that, Heidi? You ramped
Ready
up
for
for
5
that? You
days?
ready
Yeah.
for 5 days?
Got to get all my outfits ready.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I would like to ask you to go and continue. Those of you who have listened to the show and have not yet rated it on iTunes, I would request that you take a minute to do that. The more ratings that the show gets, the higher it ranks in iTunes, and the more people will
Yes.
find it. And the success of this show is determined based on the number of you folks that review it and rate it and help new people find the show. So thank you very much if you have done that, and if you haven't, please consider doing it. And
Just
also,
takes a second.
please consider supporting the show on Patreon. It's patreon.com/5x5, and give a buck if you think the show is worth it. We have a whole lot of things in store next week. A little bit more chaos. Then after that, we're going to get into the show segments that we've been working on, and we're going to do some fun on the scene.
Gonna tighten down the reins on this thing.
Tighten it down and just start doing calls and take callers and continue to have really great guests. We'll be coming up on South by Southwest, so I know there's a handful
man.
of people who are in town. There's
I'm
just so many
excited
fun
about
things
that.
we're going to do here and at South by. So please keep
Stay
tuning in,
tuned.
and I really appreciate your feedback. If there are things you feel we can do better, because of you, we get better camera angles, better
Mhm.
shots, better things like that happening. So keep sending us your input. I need it. We've got a lot to learn, and you're the ones who are helping us figure out what we're doing wrong. So thanks to everybody, and we'll be back here on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Join live. dbh.fm is the place to go for that. Thank you to my great guests, Josh Senners, Philip Elmer-DeWitt. Thank you, Hattie, and have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We're still live.
Lovely. We always like to give it a second just to
Yeah.
clean up the end.
I like to. I've been releasing this show just
Yes.
in its entirety with all the crap
Right.
that's there.
Why
Mainly
not?
because it saves time when we export it.
Well,
Who cares, right?
it's just
Once we get our video person, it'll be a lot easier. We'll be able to stand up. I'll be able to walk out into a waiting limo
you
to drive me to my next
who was
my
it?
next venue.
Who did that? John Roderick.
Roderick
Got
had a limo.
No, who got up from?
Roderick never got up and stopped talking. He talked for 4 hours.
No. Where was it? No, not on Back to Work. When? Who were we talking about?
Was it Colton? No, it wasn't him.
No, who was it? But somebody literally. Thank you.
I
yes,
love
clapping.
you on that mic.
Yeah, it's.
I just gotta say, we had that thing in the closet forever.
The Heil. I sound like a shrill witch.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
This makes it a little velvety.
Mm-hmm. No, that's all right. So Hattie's talking through the
Late
Shure
night.
SM7B, which
Yep.
is I still insist that was the first mic that I ever had you on
Think
back in the day
so?
when you first started here and we did that first episode of just testing out the new setup. Your
we
very
need to
first.
go back and listen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that.
Probably.
I think I was on the
'Cause we
Heil. I think
didn't
I only
have-
had 2 mics. I think I had the Shure and the Heil, and that was it. Maybe
but then
I
you
had
were
2
like, oh my
Heils.
gosh, the Heil, it sounds so good. You should be on that.
But now I got to tell you what, this Telefunken is changing my whole game.
I love it.
This is. Let me see if I can push it to the side here a little. People see it. That's not the best angle. There's a better. Well, we got all
That's
this stuff.
junky. Hold a white. Yeah. That's cool.
This is the best mic for broadcasting I've ever used.
For
And
your voice.
For my voice.
Yes.
Not good for your voice.
No, I sound manly?
You sound worse on this one
Worse.
than you do on the Heil, and best on the Shure.
Yes.
The Shure does love the lady voice.
It has its
I'm just saying
Yeah.
their man voice
the
too. but,
why do you think the Heil is not as good for lady voices?
well, I think it just depends on the individual person so much on their
Oh.
own voice. But this microphone to me, when I hear myself recorded through this, I think, oh yeah, that's what I sound like. That's what I sound like.
This is what you sound like to me if you were just talking
If
out
I was just
in
talking
the rest of the
that's
office.
with,
Yeah.
through this mic.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think that's true for you on the Shure.
This is what my voice sounds like.
And
This is what it sounds like in my mind.
they're upset. They're talking to me about the Chrysler. Nobody has gotten in touch with me. And you know what? We were driving the other day to our lunch appointment.
Uh-huh.
And we
Oh.
went by. And I said, "Look," I
See,
said, "There's the
there's the
Bentley
real
right there.
Bentley. Doesn't it look like it?
Doesn't the Chrysler look like it?" And you're like, "That's the Chrysler." So I'm gonna have to test drive a Chrysler. Do you think they would let us
Record.
Oh, she was yawning.
You'll never catch
I'll
me.
never get it. I'm not that fast, huh? I think we should go to the Chrysler dealership and test drive one of these things and
Take
make
the
a big,
little Zoom
a big
H4n with us.
fanfare all around it.
Yeah, tell people to meet us there and test drive Chryslers.
Yeah.
DBH Chrysler 300 Day.
Ooh.
There you go.
Because I think we're on track to have them sponsor the show by way of a Chrysler.
I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
We
Then
need
they'll
to
know
do
we're
next
legit.
week. We have MetaCDN as a sponsor, right?
Yes.
I'm so excited. They're the ones who provide us with our live video stream, and they're amazing. The quality, I don't know if you guys are tuning in live to this, but the quality is better than what you're going to see on YouTube if you're tuning in live.
Oh yeah.
It's outstanding quality.
They do
It's
a great job.
Outstanding. I'm so impressed with that. MetaCDN. And next week, are we going to talk about the desks too?
Yeah.
Not the other one, the video one in the audio room.
Yes.
We're going to do that next week.
Yes. What
Okay.
show would you do that on?
On this show. I want to talk about it on this show.
Talk about
We
that
can talk about it
desk
on anything.
this show.
Yeah, because we can do video of that. We'll make a special video for them
That's what. Yeah.
and
I
put it
think
on
they want
MetaCDN. Boom.
both.
Synergy. All right. I'm done. We got to go edit. I got to go edit all this stuff now.
It's
Who do you think's editing this?
Right.
I'm editing this. It's 5:50. I'm editing this.
And if you weren't editing it, I would
Then-
probably be editing
Yeah.
it. And if I'm not editing it, it won't get edited.
It's still cold and I feel a
I'm
little
freezing.
warmer, but it's
My legs are warmer, but my hands still like.
do you have a jacket to put on or it's too heavy?
No, I have a jacket.
Can you work in that?
Yeah.
All right.
It just doesn't provide
It's
that much
bulky.
warmth.
When's it going to get warm again?
I
We're going to be
just-
back from Atlanta. I'm ready for the... Did you hear me complain once in the summer? I did not
No.
complain one time in the whole... I'm leaving this in the show.
Yeah.
I'll just leave the show like this.
It's
I'll just edit the part where I say have a good weekend out. At least with the audio. I won't take it out of the video.
the video. I think you just releases the whole thing.
Yeah, just it's stream. When we get a video person in here, it'll be tightened up. Oh man.
You'll
I'm gonna
never
I'm gonna get you doing it. All right, listen, we are going now. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Please rate the show in iTunes. It means a lot to us if you do that, and keep those reviews coming in, because that's how new people find out about the show. So have a great weekend. Thanks. Be back next week.
Bye.